Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. A ton of new stuff was just added to Overwatch in the patch that just got dropped. Long-awaited Doomfist, he is live on the servers right now. You can go and try him out. There was new loot box system, highlight system. They made a bunch of hero changes. You can now customize your crosshair a lot more. I've already gone over all of that stuff quite in depth in a bunch of other videos. I'm going to put links to that stuff down below. But there was one thing on the patch notes that wasn't actually on the PTR, and it's really huge, and I want to talk about it a little bit. So let me read you the patch notes. It's under the general section. It says, adjusted the general respawn timing to limit defensive stalling strategies when the offensive team has a clear advantage and plays aggressively. Now that probably sounds pretty vague to you, like, well, what did they actually change? This is actually one of the biggest complaints with Blizzard when it comes to patch notes, and it doesn't matter if it's Overwatch or Hearthstone or World of Warcraft. They do the same stuff with all of their games. They put in stuff in the patch notes that's really vague or cryptic, and they don't actually explain it, and then people get frustrated about it. Well, on the official Overwatch forum, someone actually called them out on it. They're like, what does this mean? Can you actually explain it like you should have, in the patch notes? So the principal designer for Overwatch, Scott Mercer, actually went ahead and explained it a little more. He said, there's an existing system that slowly increased the defender respawn time in the case where there are more attackers than defenders on an objective for 30 seconds. The defender respawn time then increased in a linear fashion up to a maximum when the players held an advantage for 90 seconds. We simply retuned the timing so that the increased defender respawn time starts after 15 seconds of attacker advantage and also reaches the maximum possible increase of defender spawn time at 75 seconds. So basically they cut the start in half and then they also lowered the maximum. He continues, note this timer doesn't immediately reset to 0 if the attackers temporarily leave the objective area due to something like avoiding a D.Va self-destruct or a Mei Blizzard, or otherwise no longer have a numerical advantage on the objective. The attacker advantage timer instead reverses and counts back down to 0. He goes on and gives an example. If the attackers have an advantage for 10 seconds, then defenders regain it for 5 seconds, the attacker advantage timer is now at 5 seconds. If the attackers then get a few kills to regain advantage, then after 10 more seconds, the attacker advantage timer reaches 15 seconds, and the defender respawn time begins to slowly increase. The end result is that stalling tactics involving defenders trickling in one at a time into the waiting weaponry of an entire enemy team on the objective should be less effective than before. Now, way back when Overwatch first came out, you didn't have a limit on the hero selection, so if the defenders were losing that second capture point on Hanamura, the entire team would just switch to D.Va, and then they could essentially hold off the attackers forever, and they would never ever lose the point, because not only would they have to get the destroyed mechs, but they would also have to kill the D.Vas, but by the time you did that for like 1 or 2, then others were coming out. It was just terrible. It was really bad. Another huge problem, especially on the King of the Hill maps, was the 2 Tracer, 2 Lucio, 2 Winston lineup, which could basically contest the point in overtime almost indefinitely. In fact, there was one tournament in particular, this was basically the straw that broke the camel's back and forced Blizzard to actually start reviewing what they were doing. In this particular tournament, both teams had the same lineup, the double Tracer, double Winston, and double Lucio. And the map ended up lasting for like 15 to 20 minutes in overtime. Like, it just wouldn't end. And it got so bad that the people who were casting the tournament, like, they didn't even know what to say because it was just boring. It was the same, they were just constantly running and stalling out the point. And it was really bad. So the following day, the tournament actually decided, the people that were running it decided, no, look, we're going to have to limit it to 1 hero per. And then that's what they did moving forward. And then after that, Blizzard went and said, okay, what we're going to do in the competitive is we're also going to limit it to 1 per. And they also ended up, making it so that the overtime timer itself would go down faster the longer it went on. So this latest change that Blizzard just made to the stalling stuff should actually make a pretty big impact, because 15 seconds isn't really that long. So basically, as long as your team, the attackers, are controlling that objective point and there's more of you than there are defenders, as soon as that happens, you're going to start getting that increase in that little timer. And once it hits that 15-second mark, all of the defenders that die from that point forward are going to have that increased spawn timer. So instead of it being like, 11 or 12 seconds, it's going to go up by a second, every so often. Now, unfortunately, Blizzard isn't telling us exactly what those increments are, and it's something that's actually really, really difficult to test, so it's not something that I can really do either. But suffice it to say, the amount of games that you have where you're attacking on those assault maps, the 2 capture point, Anubis, Volskaya, Hanamura, and now Horizon, when you're attacking and the defenders are just pouring out and constantly stalling the point, that really shouldn't happen that much more. It's going to happen a little bit, sure, but you should actually win most of those engagements now. And once your team, fully captures the point, the amount of opportunity that the defense has to try to regain it and stall it out is going to be really, really limited now. And I think that's something that will make a lot of people happy. Anyways, what do you guys think about this change? Are you glad for it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server where you can join the community and find other players to group with. The link for that is in the description. Also, all of the other new patch stuff, those links are also going to be in the description, so go check it out. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.